Hi, welcome to another episode with Kimberly Kuhns. I am going to be talking about what knitting is and some information about it. Knitting is a method of creating textiles or garments by interlocking loops of yarn using needles or machines. So I'm guessing you can use two or more needles, like I said in my last podcast, or you can use a machine. It produces stretchy, durable fabrics like sweaters, scarves, and socks, distant from weaving. Key synonyms include needlework, stitching, weaving in a good sense, and purling. Purling. The key aspects of knitting process. It involves creating a series of live long stitches on the needle. Each new row is pulled through loops from the previous row. Tools, usually done with two or more needles, straight, circular, or by computerized high-speed machines. Types. Hand knitting is a popular hobby, while industrial knitting produces most commercial knitwear. So if you have any comments or questions about these podcasts that I'm posting, leave them below and subscribe to me if you want to keep following me to find out more information about knitting or crocheting or whatever, or diamond art that I'm going to be doing. Usage, examples, and context. Craft slash hobby. Creating handmade garments such as sweaters, mittens, socks, and blankets. Repair. Joining together broken material or items such as repairing a torn garment or metaphorically knitting a community back together. Medical slash physical. A knitting of a broken bone referring to the healing and joining process. So that was just talking about what you could make with knitting and how to what you repair like garments and stuff like that. Um, the next section is about types of knitting. There are four types of knitting. There's English knitting, parentheses, inside the parentheses it says flowing. And then there's continental picking, sheetland knitting, and flicking. I'm going to start out with English knitting. The yarn is held in the right hand and thrown or wrapped around the needle. So it's pretty much with a whole bunch of the yarn that's over the needle. Continental picking. The yarn is held in the left hand and picked by the needle, often considering faster. Sheetland knitting. A method often using a knitting belt to hold one needle, using the allowing the knitter to work quickly, sometimes while standing. Flicking. a variation of English style where the knitter flicks the yarn with their index finger without letting go of the needle. If you have any questions or comments about what I have talked about so far, leave them in the comments below and I will answer them as best of my ability because I am learning also what knitting is and stuff like that. I've never done knitting before, but I might start up and doing it. Alright, the primary stitch types. There are 4 types of stitch, of the primary stitch type. There's garter stitch, stockinette stitch, rib stitch, seed/moss stitch. The garter stitch, every row is knitted, creating a bumpy, stretchy fabric. Stockinette stitch. Alternates a knit row and a purl row, producing a smooth V pattern on one side. Rib stitch alternates knit and purl stitches within the same row, creating high elasticity. Seed/moss stitch is alternate stitch and purl stitches in both rows and columns for a textured, bumpy look. Specialized techniques. There are 3 actually, of knitting for the specialized technique. There's lace knitting, cable knitting, and fair isle stranded knitting. Lace knitting is create intricate open patterns using combinations of yarn overs and decreases. Cable knitting crosses stitches over one another to create rope-like textures. Fair isle and stranded knitting uses multiple colors of yarn in one row to create patterns. I just learned that you can use more than one different kind of yarn to make what you're doing to make a fair isle and stranded knitting, which is pretty cool because I like to use more than one yarn when it comes to my projects. So the fact that I can do that with knitting is really good. There are 3 kinds of regional method variations: Western knitting, Eastern knitting, and combination knitting. Western knitting is working stitches through the front loop. Eastern knitting, working stitches through the back loop. So Western is through the front loop, the Eastern is through the back loop. Combination knitting uses a mix of Eastern and Western techniques for faster purling. So if there's any comments or you want to like my video or anything, just comment below, subscribe to me, need subscribers. I will be posting more videos on knitting, and I will see you guys soon. That's the end of this podcast. Thanks.